Oh, hell yeah. We're rolling back-to-back episodes today here on Old Man Squad, and this is your streaming guide for Wednesday, March 12th and Thursday, March 13th. Yes, I created a new template here so you can see my ugly mug a little bit bigger, and the streaming guide stays the same size. It does appear as though I've changed. Here we go. Let's make this web. No, how do I get rid of this thing? There we go. That's what I wanted. Let's go back up to the top. For some reason, it went to the bottom. And we're ready to go. Playoff streaming guide. Follow Dan Vespers on Twitter. That's me. Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. Old Man Squad Fantasy on Instagram. And make sure to like, rate, and subscribe however you enjoy these shows. Start with today, Wednesday. Teams to avoid and teams to target. As I said on yesterday's show, kind of a little bit of good news for Wednesday streaming. There's only one team that's rolling into not the greatest schedule, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are off for 2 days. They have a game on Friday. They're off again on Saturday. Yes, they play Sunday, and yes, their schedule does get better after that, where they roll into a 4-game week next week and the week after. But right at this exact moment, this is sort of like the soft pocket in the Cleveland schedule. It's 2 games over 6 days as well, if you include the game on Sunday and the off day on Monday. Cavs do have some streaming options that you should probably consider parting from. Guys like Max Strus. Not that you were hard streaming Cavs anyway. DeAndre Hunter was ruled out yesterday, so that would have been a bad one anyway. Ty Jerome would be another one that probably doesn't require holding on to through this, but then you're going to hang on to obviously any of the big name dudes there because those guys all post massive, massive fantasy value. Teams to target today. The Boston Celtics have 3 games over 4 days. I should point out, by the way, no one has a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. Not one team in the entire NBA. So all of the clubs we're talking about as potential targets are back-to-backs that roll Friday, Saturday. That's how they get their bigger games played in. So to that end, today is probably a day to sit on your moves unless somebody got ruled out due to injury, which a few of them have. Jeremy Grant is ruled out in Portland relatively early. That was last night. He got kicked out. Jalen Williams got tagged with an indefinite. We don't know how long he's going to be out in OKC. That one's a big hit to the Nads in the middle of a playoff week. So there are a few guys that, and for Williams, he got an IL tag quickly on Yahoo, so hopefully you'll be able to stash him. But other guys that are maybe getting ruled out a day in advance or whatever, this would be a day to punt on those dudes and move to one of these 6 teams that has 3 games in 4 nights, rolling through Saturday. Or 5 of the 6 teams have a game on Monday to start next week as well. So that gives you at least a nice reason to kind of hang on to them a little bit longer and save your other moves for some other streaming slot. Boston is the only one of those teams that doesn't have a game on Monday. Their schedule next week is super light. And in fact, after Saturday, the Celtics schedule gets terrible. They have 1 game over 5 days after that, 2 games over 7. So it's effectively a 2-game week that runs Sunday through Sunday for them, or Sunday through Saturday, I should say, for the Celtics. And both of those games are against tanking opponents. That's going to be a mondo rest week if you have any key Celtics. Buyer beware if you were thinking about picking them up for this 3-in-4 stretch. The other teams, the other 5, Denver, Houston, Memphis, Miami, and San Antonio. I'll say those again. The Nuggets, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Heat, and the Spurs. They all do have games on Monday. They all play today. They all play Friday, Saturday, and they all play on Monday. Some of the players to look at on those clubs, I will tell you after we remind you that BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. March Madness, it's here, man. Conference tournaments are opened up, and we're just, whatever it is, week and a half, something like that, away from actual March Madness. The tourney. D2 actually gets going this weekend, if you're into that. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $1,000 bracket contest. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. So if you've got the play, let them have at it on BetOnline. Every Cinderella story, every hat trick. Maybe March Madness isn't your jam. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline. The game starts here. Here are your players to target on Wednesday. Boston, as we talked about, is a loose recommendation. Sam Hauser would be for threes. Luke Kornet would be for field goal percent and blocks. But I would pretty much pick anybody else on this board before I go to a Celtic, given how bad their schedule gets after Saturday, because that forces you to use another move on Sunday that you might otherwise want to hang on to. Or screw hang on to. You might have wanted to use that move before Sunday, and now you're stuck with a Celtic on your team whose schedule doesn't get better for a while. Denver, with Aaron Gordon out, Peyton Watson is a steals and blocks stream. I don't know how long Gordon's going to be out. He might be back as soon as now. In which case, that would push Russell Westbrook back down into this streaming board. So just like put that in the back of your head. If Aaron Gordon gets ruled in, Russ takes Peyton Watson's place on this list. Does that make sense? It should. Peyton Watson, if for steals and blocks. If Russ is the guy who replaces him, Russ would be for assists and steals mostly, with a smattering of rebounds as well. For Houston, Cam Whitmore is the potential play. It sounds like Freddie VanVleet is going to be back for this ball game. So I'd be inclined to say nobody is a stream on the Rockets, unless you consider... You know, I guess I could probably just get in there and turn Dillon Brooks into the name on this board. Here. We'll just go threes, basically. I don't think Cam Whitmore is worth a play, and Brooks is probably over-rostered because he does score every once in a while. But they're going to need him to do a little bit more with no Amen Thompson. Problem, of course, being that Freddie VanVleet gets back in there and soaks up a lot of that stuff. So Houston is kind of an iffy one. But if Brooks is on your wire and they've got an okay schedule, that would be one that you could kind of stretch out for. For Memphis, these names are both with question marks. Scotty Pippen Jr. has been playing really well. He's a great steals stream, I think, regardless of what's going on around him. But we know John Morant is a maybe because of possible rest. I haven't heard anything additional about it other than, like, this is the one game for Memphis where they might be able to buy him a day. But also it sounds like Luke Kennard is going to be back for Memphis in this ball game. Will Kennard play in all 3 games of their upcoming 4? I don't know, or I'd throw him on this list. If Ja is out, I would go Kennard in a games cap format, but I don't know that I have the confidence to pick him up in head-to-head because he might take a game off as well. So we'll leave Pippen on there for now. If Ja's out, that makes Scotty a pretty solid play. If Ja's in and Kennard's in, then Pippen's minutes take a pretty big hit. And that becomes a pretty good-sized pisser because I went Memphis in a lot of spots because they're in that 5 games in 7 days stretch. Yeah. Brandon Clarke missed the last ball game. If he's back in, he's an excellent source of field goal percent, boards, steals, and blocks. And with a good schedule, he's a guy that I'd be waiting on his status as a possible good target on this board. He's kind of the first one that I can point to and say, I like this guy if he's playing. Duncan Robinson is a solid source of points and threes. That one's a relatively straightforward one. Haywood Highsmith in Miami, both those guys, more of a steal stream. And then Davion Mitchell, who I'd probably go over Highsmith, is an interesting source of assists and steals. He got picked up in a few of my more competitive leagues, which I was kind of surprised about because his overall numbers are kind of clunky. But again, like Davion playing 26 to 30 minutes a game, he's probably going to get you 5.5 assists. He'll probably get you a steal. There is a usefulness in that. Duncan Robinson, certainly your safest play of those on Miami. And then San Antonio. They've got a lot of names in San Antonio that you could be looking at, but I don't know how many of them I really trust a lot. Keldon Johnson is relatively trustworthy, I guess, for points and boards. Stephon Castle is your hard punts guy, but a solid source of points and assists if you can handle the punts. Bismack Biyombo, an extremely unpredictable source of boards and blocks. I would far prefer to go Brandon Clarke if I could, if that's the category you're hunting right now. Or, by the way, you wait until tomorrow because the Lakers have 2 rebound big men kind of options that might pop up. Jeremy Sohan, he missed some action, so I'd be a little bit cautious there, but he's boards, assists, and steals when he plays. And then Harrison Barnes, who had his, once every 3 weeks big ball game, so his last week average looks good. But you guys know the story overall. If you're just catching him for, 3 or 4 games here, you might not get anything good in there. Points and threes is what you're attacking if you go Harrison Barnes. Quick commercial break, and then we'll do Thursday. Thursday, you got a couple teams to avoid. Portland is off for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They come back with a flurry of games starting on Sunday, though. So it's one of those weird, like, can you hold on to Denny Avdia? Can you hold on to Tumani Kamara over that down haul? Can you hold on to Donovan Clingan if you need what he's providing? If you can, you should try, because then they go 3 games in 4 nights starting on Sunday. It gets you off to a nice start next week. But also, I fully understand a team off for 3 days. You can capture 2 games from most of the NBA over that stretch. Well, not most, but a lot of the NBA, giving you a lot of streaming options to when you're sort of doing that column A versus column B thing. Anything is a lot better than 0. 2 is a lot better than 0 in games played. And then New York is the other one. And we've talked about New York a lot on these streaming shows because their schedule's been bad since last Saturday. And it continues to be bad through next Tuesday, basically. Although I would argue that if you take the right cross-section, it's not terrible starting on this Saturday. The big issue was last Saturday to this Friday when they had 2 games over 7 days. After that, they're basically every other day. They've got a back-to-back blended in there. They end up with 5 games over 8 days coming up in that. So that's not that bad. The problem, of course, again, is that if you're looking at just the what's left this week part, which a lot of us are, this is your semifinals, you can turn a 1 game into a 3 game, just like with the Blazers. The Knicks game this week is on Saturday. I tried to notate that here on the board for those that are watching with us on YouTube, which, by the way, you should subscribe to. Let's take a quick second here to remind you guys to please subscribe to our YouTube channel here, Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. You got baseball shows from Joe Orico here as we lead up to baseball fantasy draft week. We've got DFS shows from Brenton Eckersley. We've got specialist shows from Slick Rock. We've got all of my stuff that I'm doing here, of course, 2 a days these days, and a streaming show every single day from now until the end of the season. This is day 10 out of 42, and I still got plenty of energy. Right? Also, I've teased it a few times. I have a pretty big announcement on more stuff coming to our Old Man Squad YouTube channel at the end of this regular season. Back to what we're talking about here. Teams to target on Thursday. It's the Lakers. I know I have other names on the board. Orlando has a good schedule coming up. Brooklyn has a decent schedule, which again is sort of the tail end of their 5 and 7. Milwaukee has a decent schedule here. Sacramento has a back-to-back. I basically don't care about those teams because it's Lakers or bust on Thursday. They have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. They're off Saturday. They play Sunday and Monday. They're off Tuesday. And then they play Wednesday and Thursday of next week. It is the heaviest schedule stretch that anyone in the NBA has had in probably a decade. And, you know, some of it has to do with the fire stuff. And the Lakers are down LeBron, at the very least, for probably all 6 of these games, if I had to guess. But certainly the ones this week at the very best case scenario, because LeBron got hurt last week at the end of the Boston game. They said he was out for at least 1 week. The best case scenario would be he gets back in time for the Phoenix game on Sunday, but I would be extremely surprised if that was the case. I think Bron misses this week and next week because the Lakers need him healthy or they're completely cooked come playoff time. And if they fall from, top 3 to top 5 or 6 in the West, they'd rather do that than not have LeBron for a playoff run. So they're going to go easy on him. Problem, of course, with the Lakers, and we'll get to the names to target, is that though that usage has pretty much just been soaked up by Luka and Austin Reeves, and those guys are all on rosters already. But we'll talk about the Lakers pickups in just a second. The other teams, as I mentioned, Brooklyn has 3 and 4 or 4 and 6. Same with Milwaukee. Orlando is my second favorite schedule. They go back to back and have a 3 and 4 to finish out the week. So again, you sort of afford yourself the opportunity to do something on Saturday if you wanted to. Sacramento has a back-to-back, but then they're off Saturday and Sunday. So if you went the Kings route, you'd want to punt on the Kings route come weekend time. So you need to have probably an extra roster move to pull that one off. Players to target on Thursday. For the Lakers, it's 3 names I would look at, and the 2 at the top are my favorites. Those are Jackson Hayes and Jared Vanderbilt. If Hayes is back, which I believe he will be by Thursday, because, again, he was extremely close. He was basically a game time call for the Lakers game on Monday, and they ruled him out at the last minute. He'd probably win that game if he plays. But he got 2 more days of rest. I think Hayes is in, and I think he probably plays in most of, if not all 6 of these ball games, because he's not an old dude. I don't like that he's coming back from a minor injury, so maybe they give him the altitude game off in Denver. That would suck, and it would kind of screw up our plan here. But 3 games and 4 nights to finish the week, and then 3 games and 4 nights to start next week is ridiculous. So even if they miss one, it's still a pretty big whopper of a schedule. Vanderbilt, an excellent source of field goal percent, rebounds, and blocks, especially at volume. Jared Vanderbilt is an excellent source of rebounds and steals at volume. And then the third Laker I would consider would be Dalton Connect, because, you know, as little as he does out there, if you need threes, he's going to hit probably 2 to 3 per ball game over this stretch. So you're talking about 6 or more threes to finish out the week, and probably a dozen or more over this 8-day stretch. So that's pretty good there. I mentioned Orlando as my second favorite schedule. The Magic have Cole Anthony, who's largely been picked up, but if he hasn't, he's points, assists, and free throw percent. Wendell Carter Jr. is a rebounds-only play, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is the very deep league option if you're trying to get like 3 steals out of the rest of your week. Sacramento has the back-to-back. Keon Ellis would be interesting even as a reserve in the back-to-back, but again, with Malik Monk back in there, Ellis's upside is capped a little bit. Still, with 2 games in 2 days, and then the need to use another move over the weekend, this is only if you have extra moves to burn. And then you could probably, you might catch lightning in a bottle. You might get Keon, maybe someone misses a game or whatever, or maybe he has like back-to-back 3 steal games. So that's kind of what you're hoping for. You get like 6 steals and 2 blocks and laugh all the way to the bank. It's also possible that he doesn't play all that much and you end up with 2 steals, 1 block, and almost no other stat. So that one's a little bit more of a dice roll, but the defensive stat upside is certainly there. Brooklyn, most of these guys were picked up earlier in the week. Day'Ron Sharpe, Zaire Williams, and Keon Johnson are the guys you could consider there. Sharpe being the easiest of those 3 to stream. But again, if those guys didn't get picked up for the 5 and 7, I don't know why you'd want them badly right now. And then Milwaukee, the one name there I would look at would be Gary Trent Jr. He's an okay source of threes and steals. Not great. And so again, if you're looking at sort of like who can get me the most of stuff, it's probably the Lakers. Not only because their schedule is amazing for 8 days, but also because if Hayes is ruled in, and that's a tough one to make a call on a day in advance, but I'd be pretty surprised if Jackson wasn't playing tomorrow. But Jared Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, they're going to get some opportunity. Vando in particular going to be out there just getting his hustle stats. That just makes your life simpler. Cole Anthony, if he's on the board, is probably the best play out of anybody listed here, which is why he's probably added. And then like relatively safe options would be Sharpe, because you're going to get some stuff. Wendell Carter Jr., you're going to get some rebounds, and that's probably about as far as I go there. The other names on the board are a little bit trickier, certainly, to say the least. I do not have an underdog card put together yet. There's just too many things that are going to happen over the course of the rest of today. And so that makes it hard for me to say, here's the guys that I'm playing. But I'll try to put a few of them out on Twitter if I can think of them over the course of the day. We'll look for who's ruled in, ruled out, and make some tweaks there. UnderdogFantasy.com. Head there today. Pick higher or lower on any 2 players. That's it. That's all you got to do to win 3 times your entry fee, or you can ramp it up, put more names on your Pick'em card, and win up to 1,000 times your entry fee. And if you sign up now using our special promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN, or click the referral link in the show description, you can unlock up to $1,000 in deposit match bonus cash and an opportunity to turn one of your Pick'em plays into a free square where someone just needs to score 1 point instead of 20 or something like that. And that way, on that particular card, you only need to hit 1 to win 3 times your entry fee. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. We've had a lot of fun with them so far, and we're up a couple of units. Even better. Check them out. Play with us. When I have time to put the card together live on the show, I will. If not, again, I'll try to bring it to you over on social media. And that is where we go now. At Dan Bespris on Twitter, I will be posting the stuff that we did on the streaming show over there, so you guys can refer back to it. I can't keep up with comments on Twitter. It's too crazy. Old Man Squad is the link over on Blue Sky. Please hit that subscribe button here as we run down the stretch. Day 10 out of 42 here on these streaming shows. I'm trying to keep them under 20 minutes, and I'm generally failing. This time I got very, very close. I am done for the day. Coming up, streaming show every day. You know about that. We'll have a big recap show tomorrow on Thursday and a streaming show Friday. Same thing. Saturday, we'll have a mailbag show with my good buddy Adam King. So make sure to stay tuned. We'll have a tweet out where we ask for questions on that. We're guessing a lot of them are going to be about playoff ads and drops. Probably drop questions like, hey, should I drop Jalen Williams? We'll ask Adam. I'm Dan for Old Man Squad. I'll see you guys tomorrow.